Took me some time to get to the place that you wanted me to be. I know it was never.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. Yes, it's another time to have one of those enthralling conversations with someone from Ready to Love, and I have the beautiful Patricia with me today, and we are going to chop it up and have a great time as well. Please, as always, when we have these conversations, I always ask you guys in the chat, keep it cute, keep it classy, okay? All right, the mods will do what the mods will always do, block, okay? But we're gonna have a great time, great conversation, and obviously as well, get to know Patricia a bit more and understand her journey on Ready to Love. Patricia, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. I'm alive and I'm well. You're looking good. I mean, did we get the same memo? Because the green is green today.
The green. This is not like a normal color either. I thought I was going to be different, but I guess not.
Listen, great minds, they say, think alike. I appreciate you. Okay, so listen, Patricia, before we get into anything deep, I like to always ask questions just to kind of break the ice a little bit. We call it human verification. All right, so I've got a few questions just to ask you, just to open up the floor a little bit, and then we get into some conversation to get to know you better. Is that okay?
Sure.
Beautiful stuff. One of my first questions is, what was your dream as a young girl to be when you grow up?
My dream was actually to be a dentist.
Ooh. Why a dentist?
I don't know, because I didn't want to be a nurse, or I don't know. I just want to be a dentist. I feel like blood makes me gross. So and then I had braces when I was 14. So I guess teeth was the thing. I guess I don't know why I wanted to do that, because when I got in college, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. Is that what you do now? Or do you do something else?
No, I'm not a dentist.
Oh.
I work in tech.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I was a tech recruiter when we started the show, but I got my PMP during last year, so I'm a program manager now.
Oh, I want to pretend as if I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm
gonna. It's like a project manager.
Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, okay. Okay. Would you call that a passion job, or would you say that's more of just a job that you like doing, or a job that pays the bills? How would you describe that job?
I mean, it pays very well, but I mean, it's more of a leadership role, so it resonates more with me than whatever. But that was kind of it resonates more with me than tech recruiting, because recruiting is more like a salesy type of jobs. It can get salesy. But yeah, so I'm not a hustle and bustle. I don't like that. So I'm not a hustler type of person. I rebuke that.
I love that. Right, second question. What song would best fit the description of how your life has been so far? What song would best describe Patricia's life so far?
I don't know. I'm living my good life. I don't know who sings that song, but
you're living your good life. Okay. Right. So when you say living your good life, what does a good life look like to Patricia?
I mean, a good life, I feel like everybody when we go to work and all that stuff, we're chasing freedom. So it's not necessarily like, you know, because I don't have like a dream job because I don't dream of labor.
Oh,
but
fair enough.
but I mean, I feel like just getting up every day to be free and do what you want. I feel like that's what we're all chasing. So like financial freedom, freedom to travel whenever you want to. So yeah, but yeah.
I love that. Since you spoke obviously about financial freedom and traveling, if you had an open plane ticket, plane one, you could go anywhere in the world. Where would Patricia want to go?
Probably the Maldives.
Ooh, what's in the Maldives for you?
Beautiful over the water bungalows. I don't know. It's just like a dream trip.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
So
I
if
like
my
it.
husband is
Maldives.
out there, let him know. That's
That's where you need to go. That's where he needs to be taken.
correct.
Maldives. I'm gonna let the brothers know they need to be taking you to Maldives. I'm gonna put it on the
Okay.
list
They
for
better
that.
have a little bit of
All right.
coin.
A little bit of coin. Oh, a little bit of coin. Absolutely. You know, I mean, we can't do broski around here. You know, struggle love ain't for us around here.
Oh, okay. Listen, it's not. Okay. And
I'm not mad.
I don't feel like Black women either should made to feel bad because we want better, because they don't do that to other races. So, and of course, if you make money, don't you want someone else that makes money too? I don't know.
Listen, I'm not mad at it, and I'm
It
agreeing
makes
with
sense
you.
to me, you know?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, listen, you make money, you want another person to make money. It's similar lifestyle, similar tax brackets. You know what I'm saying? It's similar freedoms. So
Correct.
I'm not against that at all. So I think that works best personally. You know what I mean?
Preferably
Plus,
more
we do
than
get a little
me.
bit sucky as men. Preferably more. Okay. I agree though. You know, listen, the guys out there, we will pray to the good Lord that He gonna release them.
Okay.
Just release them onto you, sis. Yeah. And when the prayer
I
works, you better come
receive
back
it.
to
I
me.
receive it.
My final question in human verification is: cereal or the milk in the bowl first?
Cereal or the milk?
In the bowl first, yeah.
I think the cereal first, because I don't put all the milk in there.
Okay.
Or the milk first. The milk first, and then I put the cereal because I like it crunchy. I like you know.
So what kind of do is there a particular cereal that you guys eat? A lot of people, when I ask them to eat cereal, they don't eat cereal anymore. So
I don't really eat cereal anymore. That's not like a food that I really eat. I try to stay away. I don't even have milk, so.
What? Are you lactose intolerant?
I'm not, but I do drink like lactose milk, just because I just I don't know. I don't feel like our bodies are supposed to be having that. I don't know. I feel like we're not supposed to have dairy because I feel like so many people have allergies. I don't have a nervous laugh. I just love to laugh. Somebody said, "Why does she have a nervous laugh?"
Listen, if we like people who laugh here, we like people who smile here. We always appreciate it. Okay,
I like to laugh.
We ain't gonna be mad at it. We will have to laugh around here too. So you're good, sis. You're good. Well, listen, you've passed my human verification. Okay, all right. We believe you're human. All right, you're not AI or a robot. So we appreciate that. I wanna dip into some conversation, but around here we like to get to know people, right? Because RTL is the show. And you're not the show. You know what I mean? That's a part of your life that happened. We want to get to know you a bit better. So if I'll say, Patricia, who is Patricia and what is your story?
I am an ambition-determined person. But like my story from like start to finish, or like how I got here, or
however you want to take it. You can take it however you want.
I mean, well, I was born in New York, in Brooklyn, and then we moved. Well, I went to college in Florida, so in Tampa, and then my job relocated me to Dallas. Like, it'll be 2 years in April.
Okay, so from New York to Dallas is for you.
Huh?
A bit of a journey. I said from New York to Dallas it was a bit of a journey.
I mean, yeah, I spent a lot of time in in Tampa. So I spent 11 years there. So it was kind of time for me to move on and do something new, do something else. So I got an opportunity when I got a new job, and to try to keep it in the same, because Florida doesn't have state tax, so Texas doesn't either. So, because they wanted me to move to like Atlanta, New York, California, Virginia. And I was like, so basically I based some of my moving on like that tax bracket issue.
Listen, nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. Obviously, you've been in tech. Have you always been in tech, or were you in
No,
something
I
else
haven't.
before you reached tech?
No, in college I was a bartender. I was in hospitality for a long time. And then I went into corporate because I was burnt out. And then I worked in healthcare for a little while. And then I was always getting passed up for like promotions and all this stuff. And like during the time I was like going to school, but not really. So I, in 2020, I ended up finishing my bachelor's. And then I had a friend, she worked at Microsoft and she was a recruiter. And she was like, you would be awesome. She was like, you should do this. So then right after that, I kind of like set my intentions on, you know, trying to get into like the tech space before it like blew up and became like this popular thing. So then, yeah. And then I became a tech recruiter.
Okay, I love it. So I mean, obviously, you know, we've gone into tech, and you know, you've moved quite a few different jobs in terms of transition wise as well. What would you say are maybe some of the challenges that you face as a young black woman in that particular tech space? Because I know it's been quite a big push recently, especially for black women to enter that space and to I don't want to say take over, but more of a case of encouraging black women to be in that space. What's been some of the challenges that you faced in the tech world as a young black woman?
I feel like you can't show up as your true self. You like, it's like, you know, I feel like we're always used to having to put on like a facade, or, you know, we got a code switch and we have to do this with different people. And like, I've even had feedback like that I'm very direct when I say things. It's only, and to me, if Sally was direct, nobody would say anything. They'd be like, oh, she's amazing, she's so challenging, but she gets the job done. But like, if you are direct, they're like, oh, they're like, can you just be a little bit more? Yeah. So it's like, and it's not like you're saying anything like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, it's like you're coddling 40-year-olds. I don't know how to explain it. So but I think it's gotten better like over the years. I feel like it's different experiences, because if working for larger companies, you get put on all these different teams. So if there's not really like a lot of black people, or you don't have a black manager, that could be an issue, because you're not supported culturally in that way, and you could be seen a certain way. So I've had people go to bat for me, you know, that wasn't even my manager. You know what I mean? So it's just different. So yeah.
What's been some of the maybe the wins then, being in tech as a young black woman? What's been some of the wins that you've maybe experienced or witnessed in that space as a black woman?
I mean, I feel like you have to kind of take your career by the horns, and like I got a mentor where I really haven't gotten to the point where I feel like mentors and sponsors, and you need a sponsor. Mentors just talk to you and tell you like, you should do this, you should do that. But most people should be striving for sponsors, because this is a person that's going to put you in position. Like, hey, I'm going to connect you with this person. You will do XYZ and you'll get it done. So it's like, so it's a lot. And that's kind of like my next step. I want to get with someone that's like a sponsor, because a lot of the times it is hard to move in spaces. You really have to have somebody that goes to bat with you, or like a manager that likes you and just kind of says, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? And then like, even back in the day, I feel like people were so scared to tell their manager that they wanted to move around, because, you know, like people could be haters, you know what I mean? So it's a lot. So I feel like being in tech is not, it has made those like little microaggressions that you used to get because I remember when I was working in healthcare and someone was like, oh, you look like you don't want to be here. And I'm like, and I never knew how to handle that. And I didn't even know it was microaggression. So it was like, it was just a lot. Like, so now I don't think anybody would dare even say anything like that or anything along. If they were like, if there was racism, they would never dare even show, because you're getting fired tomorrow. Like, you're getting clock out now. That's how it is now. Like after George Floyd and all that, and they put like all these laws in place and stuff like that. So I think people are a little bit more scared to even like, you know, try you in a way. So it's a little better, which, yeah.
I love that. So obviously that's a quite a, you know, like I said, it's an interesting environment. Like I said, you almost need a sponsor, you need a mentor, well, a sponsor rather than mentor, as you mentioned, which I think is great, actually, information as well for anybody going into tech world as well. Let me even strip it back a little bit, right? Because I know you're. It sounds like you're killing the tech aspects. Let me strip it back a little bit. Now you mentioned about being direct as well, and I think that's quite interesting to talk about as well, because as a black woman, that's always an interesting place to be in. Let's strip it back, right? You grew up in New York.
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Tell us a little bit about Patricia growing up. What was it like for you growing up?
Life for me, I was like an active kid. I used to play outside a lot. We grew up in Canarsie, so it's kind of like not like a project. It was weird because I went to private school. I went to private school like up until we moved to Florida, but we lived in it wasn't like a project, but it kind of was. Like you lived in those like apartments, you know, like they had the playground downstairs, the ice cream truck would come, like stuff like that. But I feel like I was like an outdoor kid. Like I like to be outside. I like to play.
What would you say was your most interesting moment as a young child growing up? What would you say was your most interesting moment?
My most I don't know if it's interesting, but something that like I really liked a lot was my being around my family. So my grandma, God rest her soul, she used to bake me cakes every year for my birthday. My dad's family would come, like he would like his brothers would like play the guitar. I would have my cousins come out. Like it was so fun because it was like all the family was there. So now that we moved to Florida, it's not really like that. It's weird. So it's like only just my immediate family. Sometimes I'll go back to New York, but it's mostly like my immediate family. So that's like the only difference.
I love that. Would you say you're more mommy's girl, daddy's girl? How would you?
I'm a daddy's girl for sure, but I feel like over the years since I've grown up, I'm like me and my mom are like best friends. Like we do everything, we talk. Like Caribbean household is really different growing up in Caribbean households because, you know, it's very strict. So it's like they coddle the boys, but they are, you know,
strict on the girls.
Yeah, they're strict on the girls, which as an adult now, I feel like I'm not mad at it, but you know, it is what it is.
So obviously, obviously, I'm African, so grew up around a lot of Caribbean and stuff as well myself. But obviously, you know, we do share that commonality of strict households. How did you handle being in a strict household? Was it beneficial for you, do you think, or do you feel like you were a little bit restricted? Like depends on what kind of child you are as well. So and your personality. How did you handle the restrictions?
So I think I don't know. I don't think I handled them like very well. I feel like, because now that you're older, it's a lot of things to unpack. You gotta go to therapy. You gotta work that thing out. So I feel like it's a lot. And it's a lot of things that like I talk to my mom now about that I didn't understand back then, not to justify, but a lot of the times like our parents don't really have like a lot of information. So they're only doing what they can with at the moment. So we don't know what they're going through, like when they're, you know, there's a language barrier when they're learning a new language at work, they're going to school, they're taking care of children, like it's a lot. So, and then when they come home, we have to, I feel like we were anticipating their mood. So it made us have like anxious personality styles. that I had to also unpack, because we're trying to anticipate the moods of our parents, because we don't know, like, is she mad today? Like, what's going on? Like, we felt like, dang, mom's always mad all the time. She's always yelling. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like she was going through a lot, you know what I mean? Like, while we were growing up. So it's just a lot of things that I feel like as an adult, Caribbean children like need to kind of go to therapy to kind of like reprocess a lot of emotions. So yeah, I don't know if it was
So powerful.
hopeful to grow up like that, but
No, but do you know what? You've touched on something so powerful, and I love that you touched on that, right? Being in that household where, and I think the key thing you mentioned was anticipating a mood. You know, that makes, and depending on what kind of child you are and the personality you grew up in as well, you're right. We begin to anticipate. I remember I said to somebody that I could tell by the way the door unlocked that what kind of mood is going to be. Because the
okay.
door unlocks in a particular way, and that's nuts. How are you being aware of how someone turns the door that you're
It
gonna know that
is.
someone's
And
gonna, and
it
that
wasn't
you're
good
hyper
for
aware.
it wasn't good for us at all. Like, I feel like
Absolutely.
it made a lot it made a lot of us, like, anxious. Our attachment styles, if you notice, are like, just throughout your life, if you notice, your attachment styles to people are anxious attachment styles. Like, I feel like I was a people pleaser, so that
Same.
attachment styles are connected to people pleasing. So, and I know that I was, and I could just guess that millions of Caribbean children across the world were going through the same thing. But yeah, so it was a lot, and I didn't know, like, like when you talk to somebody, you feel feelings, but you don't know the name. You're like, I was feeling
Yes.
like that. I don't know what that was. Like, so now, like, I can kind of put a name
The
to a
language.
feeling, so that way you can unpack that, go back to, like, in therapy, I did this, it's like this technique called, like, EMDR. It's basically you're reprocessing emotions. So basically
Yeah.
untelling the lie that your mind has told you for all these years. Like, basically, okay, so for example, like, I I wanted to wear, I used to be like a really big sneakerhead, like Jordans every Saturday. Like,
Come on.
that was me. Retros all the time. And like, my mom would be like, no, why do you need so many pairs of shoes? So basically, at that point, I did not trust her to take care of me. Okay. I did not, that was like a basic thing. So what I did was, at 14, I went and got a job, because at that point, I did not trust her enough, because it was
Yeah.
something that I wanted to do, not because she was giving me my basic needs, but because I wanted extra.
I wanted
I
it.
wanted more
Yeah.
than. I did not trust. She showed me that she was just like, no, you don't need that. And I didn't understand, whatever. I was
At
just
the
thinking
time.
like, all right, well then I'm going to do it myself. So basically I had to go all the way back and reprocess that time of, like, not trusting my mom, or trusting people in general. Like, you don't trust people enough to take care of you, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Crazy.
So
I'm talking
yeah,
about
you
this
had
because I
to
literally I was,
unpack all of that stuff, but
and it's beautiful that you mentioned this, because literally I'm doing this with the audience. Actually, I'm unpacking a lot of my. I've just started therapy, obviously, but a lot of my coaching that I do with people and clients is very much on the same track. But I'm literally that's literally what I was sharing with the audience this week about, the fact that needs being taken care of, not being taken care of, that the child responds to those things, and different children respond in different ways, right? Like you just mentioned, you wanted some sneakers. I too many times asked for trainers, it didn't come. In the end, I stopped asking, and just learned how to just, you know what,
so you
I'm not
let
gonna
it
be
go.
disappointed anymore. I let it go and said I'm not
Oh,
gonna be
okay.
disappointed anymore. You know what I mean? So I lowered my expectations so that I didn't become hurt
Ooh,
from situations. You know what I mean? So
that's
that's
so
a different way
crazy
of looking on
how
this.
same situations, but you took it a different way. I was
Different way.
like, you lowered your expectations, and I was like, no,
Yep.
I'm
He's
going
like,
to
I'm
go
gonna
after
go.
this. I did not,
I'm
my
gonna get.
expectations are not low at all, because I was like, baby, I need these shoes. I need to get these shoes. I was getting Jordans when Jordans were $100 because I wear big kids. So they was $99.99, 109. Okay, every Saturday I was standing in line.
But you know what? It's also interesting though, because obviously they talk about how trauma links to success, right? And how people who are successful oftentimes have some level of trauma. Now, it's quite interesting that you are in a leadership role. I don't think that's by chance, right? Because your natural response to the situation was to go and solve the issue, whereas my
Correct.
natural response was to try and retreat rather
Right.
than feel
Retreat
what I
from the
felt. So I
issue.
became an
Yeah.
avoidant person in the end, detachment style. But I think it links to what you're even how maybe how you handle and management, because naturally you went to solve an issue, which is what leadership is about. It's about influence, but it's also about bringing solutions to the table to solve problems. So naturally, when you had a problem, the way your mind is wired, that is the first thing you thought to do. And that's just
Right.
a beautiful thing to even understand as well, that your mind thinks in that particular fashion.
It is. That's why I say it was like, I'm not mad at it as an adult, but at the time I was just like, ugh, like what is going on? Like, because I didn't have control over that situation. So then I took the control out of their hands and put it in my hands. So, but yeah, so that's like a good thing that now that I've like gone through therapy and did all that stuff, I can pick out what serves me
Moments.
and what does not. So we're gonna keep those good qualities that makes me a leader and all those things, and then throw away the rest that doesn't matter. So
I love that. So what was Patricia like going into now I'm jumping ahead of myself because I was going to ask questions. So my question is, obviously, like you said, beginning you were daddy's girl, now you're a bit more of a mommy's girl, right? So give me one piece of advice that dad gave you that you've held on to even to today.
never settle for less, and always make sure that your husband or your man takes care of you. That's what he always told me.
I love that. What was your relationship like with dad then when you were younger?
It was really good. He taught me a lot. We were very close. He is more of, so I've watched the dynamic between my father and my mother be a dynamic of, she worked too, but he took care of everything. So, but
Yeah.
like, it's not like she would be like, oh, give me money every single time. No, like if she was with the kids, she had her own money, but he would, he has that head of
So constantly give.
household leadership role, like style, whatever. So I've watched that growing up. So that's kind of like been, relationships that I've had. Like the man has always been like,
The provider.
correct.
Okay, love it. Okay, and so obviously then how would you describe from when you were younger your relationship with your mom at the time as well?
Ooh, it was tumultuous. My goodness, me and that
Not you
lady,
being
honey.
tumultuous. Huh? Were you giving
What?
her hell? Were you giving her hell?
Like, okay, so I wouldn't say I literally, no matter what, my mom, she got me. But me and that lady, baby, we was going head to
Like
head.
I'm back.
But now, but now we're much better. We are much better, and it's only because like we talk more. She tells me about like her upbringing, like when she came, and like all of these different things that happened to her. Like, so now I'm understanding her more. Now I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. And now she listens to me. When you grow up stay in a child's place, please go to your room. Okay, so
Not the
it's
beast of my
like
voice.
she would right. Okay, so she's never that, like it was never that when I was growing up. Like, so now we are like, we talk more. She she comes to me like for advice or whatever, or what I'm saying, like anything she navigates like at work, or whatever that she doesn't know, we talk about it. Because I feel like that was not a thing back in the day. It would be, even if I was right, she would still be like, shut your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't get
But
a chance
now
to
it's
express yourself.
more like, wow, okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, I do see it like that. And it's just a lot better.
I totally understand that. I totally get it. Who's more the problem solver between mom and dad?
My mom, she's more of like problem solver.
Interesting stuff. So it's interesting because I think I guess maybe looking, and I guess I'm trying to jump a little bit, but like for myself, I think obviously having tussles with my dad maybe and rejecting some of his harsher ways, I found myself kind of rejecting some of his teachings, accepting more my mum's teachings in a sense. But obviously, I've seen the reverse happen. Similar to what you were saying, I have reverse has happened now. Me and him were cool, and I understand him more. I understand his background. I'm like, okay, a lot of things you were saying were making sense. But it took me a while to get to that place, and it also affected how I dated, because I was rejecting his principles. So I was trying to figure it out myself. But the only principles I had was my mom's principles, right? So that I found myself in relationships, I would say I was more emotional. Let me put it that way. It's a more kind of way of putting it. I was a bit more feminine. It's just the way I was handling things. I was not regulating my emotions very well as a man, or I wasn't being able to express myself, or I wasn't very strong on boundaries. You know what I mean? Self-value, all that stuff. Because I wanted to, everything he was telling me, I just felt like he was so harsh. I wanted to reject it, and I wondered if maybe you had noticed maybe having maybe some tussles with mum back in the day, whether you might have rejected some of her, principles or some of her wisdom going into dating. You might have looked back on and seen them like, actually, she has some wisdom, and maybe I was, because I felt some type of way about the way she was behaving.
I don't know if I rejected any of her, because obviously when you're young, you think you know everything. So I thought I knew everything. I knew how to handle whatever. So I don't know. I know that I was a little rebellious because I was a people pleaser. So I wanted to hang out. I wanted to do what my friends were doing. I was a follower. And and then, it's always one of those, like, I thought she just like never wanted me to have friends, because she's like, this person's not your friend, this person's not your friend, and that person's not your friend. But she was right all along.
Baby.
She was right. And I don't know, like, I just felt like I knew everything. But every single one of those friends, every time I got in trouble, baby, they was nowhere to be found. It was not here. So, but as an adult, now you understand, like, those people are not your friends. And then, we always find out who people truly are. And sometimes we could be around people for years and years and years, and that person, you're looking at them as family, and that person is looking at you as competition. So, yeah, so I've had to build discernment over the years with friendships.
Totally understand that. Maybe you can take us a little bit deeper. Were those friendships built in high school times or beyond those times?
What now?
The friendships that you talked about, being having to have more discernment for those friendships in the past. Were those friendships that you built in high school or built in university? When were those friendships kind of built?
So
the ones that you had to be more discerning about.
Anybody that I was friends with in high school, I'm not friends with in real life. But I feel like I can talk about one. Like, I met my best friend when I was in college, when I first went to college, like right out of high school. And we were friends for 15 years. So up until like a couple years ago. And she didn't like me.
The heartbreak.
She didn't like me. She didn't like me.
The heartbreak.
Yeah. I feel like you find out a lot about people growing up, because at the time, like, I'm always like a doer, like, and sometimes over the years, I felt like
overdue.
I have taught people how to treat me, because I was a people pleaser, and because we started out as adolescents, I was always doing all the time. And that just it just transitioned into our adulthood. So like the biggest thing that happened, like, we had started an Airbnb business. We had properties, all that. And because I'm always a doer, she felt like she was doing, but she really wasn't. She was not helping.
Yeah.
Like it's like every time that I would get like a bartending job, I would always put her on. Every time, like, I would but that's just how I am. So like, because I want all my friends to do good. And I've been like that since I was a kid. So, and she just never was like that. Never. She never put me on to not $1, no nothing. But I don't think that she felt like she needed to do that for me, because I was always doing that, because that was my position. So a lot of the times we can say whatever, but I think our behavior, we enable people how to treat us or how the dynamic is. So there's polarity in relationships. So in friendships, in relationships, all of those things. So it was like, you know, that was like, I guess like our thing. But yeah, like I found out as I'm, you know, doing things and accomplishing goals and all of these things, like I want to say like probably within the last 5 years, I've upgraded like my car, where I lived in Tampa. Like I moved from like outside, like suburbs to like downtown, high rise apartment, all that. Then got a new job, did all these things, graduated college twice. She never came to not one graduation party. So I was like, okay, bet. Never, not a congratulations, no proud of you. But when I brought it up in conversation, she would tell me like, oh, yes, I am proud of you. But the actions would never show that. And then it was just, if I changed, she would always believe negative about me and want to hear negative about you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I even tried, like, this was like when I first started going to therapy, I even tried to talk, like, what do you need for me to help us do whatever? And I'm like, we may need to go to therapy. She said she doesn't believe in therapy. So she was like, she doesn't think that her childhood and her adulthood is a connector with trauma. So I already knew right there that we're not on the same page, and that's okay.
Yep.
Because you can't really force people to be where you are. You have to leave them where they are at and move forward. So that's kind of just where I was.
You ain't lying.
With friendships. So my discernment started like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Listen, I hear it. But it's really interesting though, because obviously you said you're an anxious attachment. I'm avoidant, right? And I find it so interesting because we spoke about this when we did a video about B. Simone and Megan Ashley and their relationship. They are the avoidant and the anxious person. And oftentimes the anxious person is a mirror of the avoidant in terms of doing things differently, but we seek control in a different way, right? Like I have a best friend who's also anxious. So her way of kind of showing affection is to try and organize everything, right? But she triggers me because I'm an avoidant and I feel like you're making it claustrophobic. So, you know, you're doing too much, right? But the anxious person just wants to just show that they're helpful. They see a problem, they want to solve it. They want to just, they want to make sure that you're good, right? And oftentimes they are always having the person on the forefront of their mind. The avoidant doesn't have that person on the forefront. They oftentimes have making sure they protect themselves first. And it becomes a very vicious cycle in that space. So it's quite interesting to hear your experience about being in a friendship where the person didn't necessarily, give as much back to you as well. I can understand that can be
she did, but she has an avoidant personality. She avoids conflict. Like we were trying to get like a couch for one of our properties, and it came like third party from Amazon, but it had a UPS sticker. And instead of going to the counter, she went to the counter and the lady was like, hey, she was like, I let this couch go because the address was not on here. So we can't let it sit in the lobby. It was like huge. So she goes to call UPS. So the lady calls UPS to bring it back. So UPS didn't bring it there though. Amazon brought it there. So now we have a lost couch. So she leaves and she takes the lady's word for face value. So she leaves. And she's on the phone with UPS. And I'm like, what are you on the phone with UPS for? So I go to the desk and I politely say, hey, I understand you're doing your job. Thank you so much. You guys have a UPS driver that comes here every day. Can you call him to have him drop that thing back off? And that's all she had to do. But she anticipated the girl arguing back and forth with her. So her immediate was to retreat and try to handle it over here when that wasn't the case. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she does that time and time, like even like issues that we have, like I don't know. It was just a lot like that I discovered after like I'm uncovering things about myself. It was a lot. It was a lot.
I can understand that. That's a fair point. So obviously then, talk to me, Patricia. The dating scene. What's dating been like for you, Patricia? Huh? What's dating been like for you? What's your experiences?
I feel like overall or like in Dallas.
Let me say overall first of all. Just overall first, and we'll specify.
So overall, I feel like there, we all go through things or whatever when we're young and all that stuff. But I feel like my last few relationships were, with men that respected and took care of, and we traveled and did all the things and blah, 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 blah. But it was just, I feel like you outgrow people and you come to a place where what they're doing is not enough for you, or you're trying to take yourself to a place and those people are still behind. Just like as far as like your mental capacity, like all of those things, it changes. Just like I couldn't be that girl, I couldn't be her friend anymore because our mental was not on the same page at all. So I had to leave that person where they are. So moving forward, like presently, when I speak to, potential suitors or whatever, I feel like I'm meeting people that are on that same, but it's just that like I don't know if I come off as anything or whatever, but I am looking for people that are more intentional about courting me, because I want you to look past what I look like. I think people are not, I don't know what it is, but they already have like a perception of you. So it's like, I want a person to know me for real, like know me in real life, like know my mannerisms, connect with me, like know all of those inner things that you know about a person. That's what I want my man to know about me. So now that like, and even touching on the show, like, so I know a lot of people are like, oh, you went so deep and it's all producers made us do that. Okay, we had to do all that. We had, because you're speed dating and you have to, like, basically I have to know you. This is quick. We are only taping for 6 weeks. So we don't have time to be like, hey, what's your favorite color? No, we have to be like, hey, how are you making a woman feel safe? Do you have children? How long were you married? Like, we need to get down deep. Like, it ain't nothing, like, we can't be playing. Basically, that's what the producers were telling you to do. So I was taking it serious, and this is a very unserious show. So like you see some people taking it serious, like Chaz, he's sharing things about himself, like about how his, he had an infant that passed or whatever. And then there are some people that never shared anything. You don't get nothing from them. You get chaos. So it's like, so it's just like that. Like I was getting down to like what I actually want a man to be. Like, I want a man to create a safe space for me to be vulnerable, because I've not had that. And also I want to do the same for him, because I know a lot of Black men, they are fearful of, if they tell you something, that you will put it back in their face against them. And I don't want my man to feel anxious that I would ever do that. Like, I want to create a safe space for my man too. So that's kind of like where I'm at in dating.
And I mean, I've experienced it. People do throw it back in your face. But obviously for yourself. Okay, so tell me, your best dating experience. In terms of, and when I say dating, I probably mean relationship. I should say, what's been your best relationship experience, and why was it such a great experience?
I mean, I feel like all the relationships that I had, they were good. But I feel like the best relationship experience I have not had, because I want a man to make me feel a certain way. And again, I don't think that I've had safe spaces with a man. Like, it was cool, and on the surface it was awesome, it was amazing, blah 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 blah. But I want connection. Like, I want real stuff. Like, I don't want that, like, I don't know if you're understanding like what I'm saying. Like, I want real. Like, you can't move without your relationship being planted on a firm foundation. So if we do not have that, we cannot do anything. Anything could be shaken. This relationship can shake. Anybody can come in and do whatever if you do not have that firm foundation. So if you have that connection with that person, if you have that safe space with that person, I don't feel like anything could come in between you guys, because you're vulnerable. You have, you're able to express your emotions, all of those different things. Like, I would want that from my man. And I know that, like, guys, it's a little harder for them to, unravel all of those layers and all that. But if you have somebody, but I've spoken to people that are they're willing to do all of those things. You know what I mean? So it's out there. We just gotta match up. God just gotta lead him in my path. Maybe he's getting him prepared right now. Okay, you never know.
So why is there such an emphasis for you on this safe space? Is it something you've experienced in a relationship that was good or a bad situation? Like, why is there such an emphasis on safe spaces within a relationship?
Because I feel like women yearn for that. Like, maybe they don't know that they need that, but we do. Like, you want a space that you can tell somebody anything and it not leave this room. Like, so if you have that, like, I want a space to, like, be open. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know, that's just for me. Not that anything has happened, but I want that safety. Like, that's like one of our basic needs: safety, security. Like, we women, we need that. Like, I thrive in that. I like a man that is disciplined. Okay, disciplined, secure. Like, I need all of those things. Consistent. Like, I need all those things.
Okay. I'm definitely hearing that. So obviously, like I said, you've had good experiences in relationships. Then, where does the guardedness come from for you? Where does that guardedness? Because obviously that was what was mentioned on the show. Where does Patricia's guardedness come from?
That was fake.
Oh, okay.
If I'm telling you I want to be vulnerable, I want you to create a safe space, why would the next cut Jonathan be saying, oh, she sounds like she's guarded? How does that sound like I'm guarded? Producers made them say that. Even if you talk to somebody, like, if you and someone else meet me, you're not going to say, oh, she's closed off. They have to make everything like uniform, continuity, whatever. So it's like, that's fake. They wanted to get me off the show because I was taking it too seriously. They wanted drama. They wanted people that are saying outlandish things. I'm not her. I'm not that girl. So that's what it was. And I know this for facts. I have receipts. Like, I was not supposed to go home, but that's neither here nor there.
Every season.
It was for the best that I went home. But yes, but I think so they already have an agenda already. So producers, we meet with producers prior to going on the show. We don't just get thrown out there. The producers already know us. We have taken tests. If you lied or if you didn't, whatever, but you sit at a round table with producers, you go over all these questions. So it is like, they already know who they're going to pair. They kept trying to pair me with Alonzo. I was talking to him for most of the day. It was very annoying because he's not even my type of style of a man. Like, it's very different. Like, he's very goofy. I like not that I don't want like a humorous person, but I don't like a goofball. Like, in the show, you see that I say that he reminds me of Marlon Wayans because he was literally telling jokes the entire time. He was very unserious.
So you don't like a comedian, basically?
No, because I need you to turn it off. Like, I like to laugh. I like to do all of those things, but I just don't. That's not my style, which is okay because guess who likes that? Patrice. She loves. That's her style. Just because someone's not for you doesn't make them a bad person. That's a good. Please keep your, humor, spirit, whatever, because someone is going to love that. Like, and they do. So it's ironic to see like where women are in like versus like what we see in men. Patrice has already been married. She has teenage, college age children. She doesn't want. Obviously, she didn't want anybody, serious. Like, she wants to have fun. She wants to do her thing. She wants to laugh and do all that, right? But me, I'm looking for consistent. I'm looking for discipline. I'm looking for great communicators. He told us on the show, I am not a good communicator. His last relationship of 6 years was a situationship. How are you ready for love? And I was asking so many other questions too. I was asking people, how do you know if you're ready for love? He said, because I've dated. That does not make you ready for love. Jonathan said the same thing. Somebody asked him, why do you think you're ready for love? He said, because I've been married. That doesn't make you ready for love, babe. That does not make, that's like, no, that does not make you ready for love. Like, what have you done? Are you doing self-work? Are you reading books? Are you going to therapy? Are you going to church? Are you like trying to reach for something higher than yourself? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you being consistent? Are you disciplined? Do you go to the gym? Like, are you doing something that is bettering yourself? You're apart from a relationship. Like, are you pouring into yourself? Because if you're not, then baby, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? So that, to me, being married or dating does not make you ready for love. It just makes you ready for dating. Like, I don't know.
I get it. Listen, I definitely understand where you're coming from in that respect. You're saying that some of the men were not necessarily up to par because they weren't doing necessarily the shadow work, as someone might say, or the work that's being done behind the scenes to be their higher self.
Right. So like when I had conversations with Chaz, I don't know why they didn't show it, but obviously because this wasn't their agenda. We had a great conversation. If I were to like just meeting a person, hit first impression, I would date a person like Chaz. We had a lot in common. Like, he's in tech, I'm in tech. We were talking about that. We were talking about church. He goes to therapy. Like, I was like, okay, you're doing the work. We were chopping it up. So we had just more. He seems stable, secure. He has a home. He's built something for himself. He goes to the gym, like he goes to therapy. He's consistent. He's disciplined, all of those things. So like, just at face value, meeting him, that would be the type of guy that I would be like, I want to have another conversation with him. Like, I want to do that. So it was just that, like, in that sense. But I'm sure, getting to know people, talking to them a little bit more, like all of those other things, then you see like who people really are. But at first face value, that would be the style of a man that I would date.
Have you in the past, maybe in the past, let me not say that. Let me say that in obviously, like you mentioned, obviously Lonzo, Jonathan, maybe not necessarily being that particular style that you particularly wanted in a sense. With obviously Chaz, obviously, that would have been a better connection for you. How do you feel like the men took to you though on the show? Because obviously, if they weren't your style of taste, maybe they also saw that you weren't their style of taste, and they maybe read that a particular way. Could that have been? I'm not saying it doesn't. It's not mean it's an indictment on you that you're not somebody that could be a good partner. It just means that, like you're saying, they're not for you, and maybe the men also assume that you're not for them. Could that have been?
And I understand from your point of view what you're saying, but I'm not judging anybody for doing whatever they want. If you are a comedian, baby, be a comedian. That's you. That's your personality. Be that way all the time. We're just not for each other. Lamar was talking about threesomes. We're just not for each other. I take intimacy very seriously. I would never share my partner with someone. You do, which is okay. We're just not for each other, and that's fine. We don't, and even if anybody told me anything that was something that I didn't particularly like, I never judged them. I never made them feel a certain way. I made everybody feel like, wow, okay, that's awesome. Like, I love that for you. And that's exactly what I would say, but obviously you don't see that. But yeah, so I never, like, my conversations were very like, very like that. Whatever they would say, I would just piggyback. They were leading the conversation, then we would just talk about whatever. But yeah, if they didn't like me,
let me ask a question.
Whatever.
Let me ask a question. Let me pull it back a little bit. The relationship you've had in the past, what were the reasons? My alarm is going off, so I'm gonna have to go and grab it in a sec. But what were the reasons for you? What were the reasons that you were given as to why the relationship came to a full pass, or why the relationship came to an end? When your past relationships, what was the reasons for why those relationships came to an end? What would you say were the reasons? I'm listening, by the way. I'm just going to turn off my alarm.
I left those situations because I was growing and my mental was growing. So I don't feel like they were growing along with me. So that's kind of like why I was, why those didn't work out.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let's go my alarm. Okay, so for you, you felt like those relationships, each one, the reason why they didn't really necessarily end is because, the reason why they end is because you felt like you had grown past those particular relationships.
Correct. Like, you are with people, and this goes for everything. This goes for personal friendships, jobs. You just hit a ceiling with people, and maybe the things that you once liked, you don't like anymore. Once desired, you do not desire anymore. So when people are not growing in the same direction, it kind of we part ways. It fizzles. It's not the same. So I just feel like I was outgrowing those relationships. As I feel like as we do over time, we're growing up. We're figuring out our identity, ourselves, like what we actually like, not what someone has told us that we like.
Would you say that the gentleman that you had dated, they would say it's the same reason for them? They felt like you had outgrown each other, or would you say that they might have had other thought processes?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like because it's hard to leave those situations, too. It's not just, oh, I'm outgrowing you, let's leave. Like, you know what I mean? Those things happen over time, but eventually it's like I need to leave this situation. It's not good for me or you. Like, it's not the same. The love is not the same, all of those things. So it's kind of like, I don't know what their reasoning is, you know what I mean? Or what their thought process after that. Like, we talk about certain things or whatever. And I don't know, it kind of just, kind of just go.
I get it. I'm not trying to be in your business, but I'm in your business. What has been the longest relationship that you've been in, and what was that like for you?
The longest was like 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was okay, like for you, but I feel like that relationship was just, I was young, like, I'm still figuring out myself, and I felt like I wanted more from a relationship. That I feel like when we ask people for certain things and they don't have the capacity to do it, and we get mad, we're just not understanding, like, we are operating at 10 gallons. This person's operating at 5. So something that we think that is so easy to do, like communicate. We think communicating is very easy, but someone that operates at 5 gallons, it's like they're giving you everything and they don't know how to push past this boundary because of where they're operating from. So sometimes we are asking things of people that they cannot do for us.
That's fair. Okay, I hear that. Did any, and my last question on this before I move into Ready to Love, have you ever heard that, Patricia, you are a little guarded? Have you ever heard that before? Many of the men that you've dated, that, you know what, Patricia, you are a little bit guarded.
That is the show. Please stop believing the show.
Believing the show. Okay.
The show is subliminal. Look at who they put in front of you. Look at the people that they put in front of you. They already paired them with people, so you see them together, right? Subliminally, they're telling you, like, these people, oh, I love Vanessa and Chas together, because you saw it already. Oh, I love Patricia and Lorenzo, because you're seeing it. They're showing it. It's in your face. So now they want the audience to be like, oh, we picked them together. No, they chose them. They have a job to do. This is their job. I am not mad at it, baby. Do your job. Get the TV ratings. They're the #1 show or whatever it is. That's because they're doing their job and they're doing it well or whatever. So they have a job to do. They already have an agenda. They don't just go in there and say, oh, yeah, you guys just go free for all. No, they have paper. They have lists. They already have like a running sheet of dates and how things are supposed to go. Like, we're mic'd up 24/7, and everything that we say, if they don't catch it, it's transcribed on a screen, so they're gonna catch it later. So it's like,
I agree with that part. Yeah, I do agree that part. You know, no, I mean that we are aware that now with that particular aspect that they do that, and of course they have an agenda. Of course they have a storyline that they want to portray as well. And you know, I know that they have the ideas that they want to be able to produce to the audience.
Somebody says where they make them through the
yeah.
scenes. Yes, they do. Say that one more time. You know how many times Tommy says things over and over again because he can't hear in this little thing that's in his ear? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or us to say stuff over again when we were having a conversation, to say it over and over again, or what, or rephrase what we said. Yes, this is acting.
So what did these men say to you? The men that were on this show, what did they say to you? Forget them voting you off the show. Forget the fact that the producer might have been involved in that. But that is a storyline. What did they say to you? Because listen, we know you're a beautiful person, but what did they say their experience was of you like? Because, you know, being voted off, we know that there's a little bit of an agenda. So I want to know, what did they say about you, Patricia?
The conversations were good. They were good conversations. We were talking. Like, look at how I speak. Look at how I was talking to Jonathan. That's what I was doing. So I was having conversation with people. Nobody was saying. The only person that I had an adverse conversation with was with Lamar. So I don't know if every season they have a person like that, like a character like that.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Whoever last season was, same thing. Like, they say outlandish things. They say like all these things that you would look at and you'd be like, do people really act like that? Like, it just feels fake to me. I'm sorry. I know it's entertainment, but like because being in it, I'm looking at it. I'm just like, people do not say this in real life. Like, I just feel like producers put him up to it.
What if he is like that? You know, listen, some guys are really marginal.
No, it ain't. I just don't think it's like that. Like, I know you guys want to think that, but it's not. I just feel like it's just really, it ain't. It's not.
A bit more put on than usual.
Yeah, they're doing extra. Some of these people are actors, okay?
Yeah,
people are actors. They're really trying to be actors. So I'm just saying that, like, they're playing on maybe a person that is outgoing, or maybe they did say something and and producers play on that. So they're like, yeah, be that. Say whatever you feel. Say whatever you want. So do you think that people are just out here just talking about sex like all day? Like, who says that? If you were legit on a first date with someone, you would say that in a first date, even if that's something that you do. You would never do that. Like a person on the last show that does like that bondage stuff, you would not talk about that particular subject unless you were for sure that someone was like on the same page, because it's not like a normal thing, you know? So like, I would just not just go willy-nilly just talk about that. I would make sure, like, you know, maybe you could ask like a tester question to see like where a person's head's at, but you go full blown in and you say that, people are going to look at you. I just feel like people don't do that. Like, they don't do that in real life.
So how did you handle that when he was bringing that to you?
I don't know. I'm just here. Huh?
No, that's fair. So how are you handling that when people like Lamar are giving you that spiel? How are you actually handling that?
I'm not doing anything because, baby, I say, wow, that's amazing. I'm sure someone is going to love that. I'm just not her, and that's okay. That's exactly what I said. Because what can I say? I'm not judging you, because guess what? Someone likes that. Someone wants to talk to you the way that you're speaking right now. Someone wants to speak to you that way. And it's just not me. So if you look at me, you may just know that I'm not your girl. But I don't condemn, I don't judge, nothing, because guess what? Someone is going to like that. Like, because someone may not like me, and that's okay. So I just let people do then. Like, I love that for you. Like, keep doing you, keep being the character that you are, because someone out there is going to be like, wow, Lamar is so sexy, and I love that. I love the way he speaks to me. And that's a possibility. Even though that might not necessarily be me, I never make a person feel like, ooh, you like that? That's so no. Go ahead, homeboy, do your thing. I uplift the black men. Whatever you guys want to do. I'm just not for you.
Which is fair. So, okay, let me give an example. When Lamar came over, now I probably thought they've probably pushed this conversation 3 or 4 times, so that's probably why it gets the edit that it does. At the point where you're like, I don't do threesomes. No, not for me. It wasn't as pretty as you made it to sound. So maybe it was edited. Maybe they shot it a few times. Maybe you guys had to keep doing it over a few times, and they got you to that point. But it was quite a sharp response in terms of you saying, no, you're not going to do it. Same with the toe situation. It wasn't as pretty as you might have thought it was. The way you responded, it wasn't as endearing. It was kind of like a shutdown, almost a little bit. It was in the energy and the way that the inflection of the way that words were used. It wasn't as pretty as you might have thought it was.
So for that portion, people were outright telling you. So that's why I was like, you suck toes too, because they were telling us. So they cut all that stuff out. I wasn't just proactively asking people. And also,
of course,
if I don't like something, why am I being judged for it? Just if you say you don't like something, if I don't like sucking toes, that's my right. I'm not condemning. I just don't like that. And like, I wasn't saying it in no type of way. I was just like, that's a little nasty, and that's it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh man, you suck toes, that's so bro. Like, I wasn't doing that. So I don't know. Maybe what you see and I see, I don't know. I guess like your perception is your perception. I cannot take that away from you. So if you've seen something, then that's your perception. But I know that that's not how I meant it or whatever. And it was editing too. Like, I wasn't proactively just asking everybody about like, all of that stuff. So I don't know.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying you don't like something. I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think that, and nobody, I don't feel comfortable asking sex questions on the first date with somebody when I'm trying to get to know them. So I'm not going to lie that these are normal situations. But this is a show, right, which oftentimes puts people in very difficult situations in order to get a particular reaction out of them, right? So, and you're going to be pretty consistent in how you react to certain things because that's your nature and that's how you handle things. Like how when I handle things, there's a way that most people are going to get a pattern of behavior from myself, right? So in those moments, it wasn't the fact that you said no, you didn't like toes, okay? It's not the fact that you didn't say, it's not for me. It's the way it was delivered. Now, the delivery...
Like in confessional or on the show?
I think it was during, even when you was talking to Jonathan, the toe part, and then when you spoke to Lamar and said, no, threesomes ain't for you, it just gave a little bit of sharpness. And that's not all of you.
In the conversation with me and Jonathan, I was like, oh, wow, you said toes too? I was like, ooh, okay. I said that to him. Again, I never judged him. But in confessional, I was like, I don't know what's up with these guys. I don't really like that. I said that in confessional. But to Jonathan, I was like, oh, you suck toes too? Ooh. And that's exactly verbatim. That's what I said. But again,
it didn't come out like that.
Felt like it was something else? Huh?
It didn't come out like that. Like how you said it there was really beautiful. I can't lie to you. That was like, ooh, I was like,
please watch it again. I'm not negating.
I mean, I did a whole video on it, so
watch it again because that's exactly what I said. Like I said, oh, you suck toes too. Oh, okay. Because he asked me what color my toes were, and I said they were white, and that's when we got into that conversation. But in confessional, I said this, but I don't know what you're seeing because watch it again because people were getting confused with some of the things because I guess because we're just coming out, but I feel like I don't know. I have no idea what you saw.
I mean, I'm not saying you didn't say what you said. What I'm saying is how you said it, the delivery, baby. You didn't say the way you said it here was beautiful. It was mwah, yeah. It was there, but you didn't give that at the time. You actually didn't. When you do it here, it was sweet. It's even making me feel like, you know what? Even if I don't suck toes, if I do suck toes, she appreciates. But this is not how you said it on the show, babe. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay,
the delivery was slightly sharper.
What?
Just slightly a little bit more sharper.
Okay.
All right. So, what took you on to Ready to Love? Why did you join Ready to Love? What was a reason for Patricia to go on the show?
I thought it was serious, but somebody actually, I just moved out here and somebody actually sent it to me, and that I used to do like modeling for, and they were like, oh, you would be great for this, whatever. And I didn't think that I was going to get picked. I feel like thousands of women, because it's more women than men that apply or whatever on the show.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think that I would get chosen. And then a week later, they just called me. And then it just kept going from there.
Beautiful. So obviously you thought it was a serious show. You thought that maybe, you'll meet somebody serious, somebody sensible.
Maybe like you never know. People
yeah.
People can meet or whatever, because it's more like a closed like experiment, I guess. So you just never know. But I don't feel like the caliber of people was just up there, because they're like, oh, well, all the women they had, they're beautiful, they have all these great jobs, and then they find men that are, but again, they have characters to kind of fit in there and do all that other stuff. So I have no idea. And then, there's other like styles of men that this probably wouldn't be for them. You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't want their business out there unless they're trying to do something. So it could be like that. You know what I mean? So it just, I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. I get it. So when obviously then, you got onto the show, and, you're now entering into the space, when you first get there, who catches your eye? Who's the first person you thought to yourself, you know what, that might be a little bit of me. That might be a little bit of me.
I don't know. Nobody really, because I'm a tall person, and the only people that were tall was Alonzo and Jonathan. Chaz was he was short. I think we were like the same height, or maybe he might be like 1 inch or something taller than me, but Lamar's very small. But they would probably be the only people that I would, whatever, like height wise, but nobody really like that I would like talk to off of just like a first look. Probably none of them.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's not mad. It's first looks. You know what I mean? It's first looks. So obviously you kind of answered the question anyway, but it seems that your initial conversation, the conversation that kind of stood out for you seemed to be your conversations with Chaz, and that seemed to be one that maybe if you had more time would have been something you would have wanted to explore a bit more in terms of just getting to know him a bit more.
Right. Yeah. Just off of our conversation, we just had more in common. Now I don't know the inner works. I wasn't on the show, so I don't know all the next level stuff that was going on behind the scenes, because they got to know him on a different level, and perceptions change and all of those things. But first conversation, whatever that was, we had a good conversation, like a very flowing conversation. Like he was like, wow, okay, like I like that, like tell me more type thing.
Okay, so Chaz, a little bit of chat that you guys have some common stuff, have some things in common and stuff like that. Was that the most interesting conversation you had on the night, or was there other conversation that you found more intriguing, in terms of connecting in that night?
No, there wasn't really like, nobody really had like good conversation, I guess. Like, I don't know. Jonathan is a person that it's very hard to get things out of him. Like they showed that conversation, but when it started, it was very dry.
I think it's interesting because I watched Jonathan's conversation with yourself and Rashina, and he had the same response to Rashina as he had to you. As soon as he heard something that he maybe potentially didn't like, I think it seems as if maybe he takes a back step, and that causes maybe him to I don't want to say shut down, but maybe kind of reevaluate how he approaches a situation. Because it was a similar reaction to Rashina, the way once she mentioned she had a bad dating history, he shut down. It's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So maybe that was part of it. I don't know. When he had the garden, maybe that's when he thought to himself.
I feel like men are very simple creatures. We don't need to
That's fair.
overcomplicate them. They're very simple. So I don't think that he's playing any type of, because we're on a show, they're literally telling you, you need to talk. Then there's producers in the back saying, hey, ask about this, ask about that. Like showing us on their phone, like what to ask about next. So he had stuff to talk about. Like they were trying to keep conversations flowing. So it wasn't that. It was.
What was it then?
That's who he is. He's a
No, what
dry
was it then?
person.
Well, I mean, he seemed to have conversations with Maya. You know what I mean?
Yes,
What I was saying
so he
was
had
not.
a conversation with me. What does that mean?
Yeah, but you said it was dry. So what do you mean?
So I'm saying that's not what you're not seeing is him. The for real conversation is dry. When you see us talking, obviously they're going to edit us talking. So you're going to see like, oh, his conversation was good. He has conversations with everybody. So I just don't think like guys are simple. They're going. We don't have to overcomplicate them. They're not playing any type of games. This is just who they are. This is what it is. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's.
Oh,
like,
I'm not saying he's playing a game. I'm saying he's responding to energy.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like,
Yeah.
whatever you're thinking, it's not that deep, is what I'm trying to tell you.
No. I think you are oversimplifying men too. We actually read your energy too and respond to it. If you give me a wall and I don't like walls, I stop trying to implement and I stop trying to do what I need to do with you. Especially if I'm very. I think you give me too much credit. I think a lot of men. I think a lot of men are like this. I think a lot of men do respond to energy, right? Because like if I go and approach, let's say I approach a woman, right? And when I go to approach, you give me this lovely smile, Patricia, yeah? And you give me this beautiful Colgate smile, and then I'm like, okay, I think she's enjoying the conversation. It's gonna make me more confident to want to talk about it. Now, unless I'm already a player, confident kind of person, I don't care if you smile, whether you're angry, you can trust it. You know when you can even just look away. That guy's gonna keep on going. That guy's gonna keep on going, right? But no, but that's a different type of guy though. That's a different type of cat. That's somebody who is well seasoned in that area. We know Jonathan is not well seasoned. He told us he learned from Fresh Prince and Martin. That is not a well seasoned brother. This is somebody who's learning on the job. So when he senses certain energy, hence why I said that the way he responded to Rashina and to yourself was something about the way that you guys said something, not that you're bad for it. He's responding to that because he couldn't give all the energy he needed to give. So he's gone dry because it's actually, he's responding to something. A lot of times men do respond to energy that they get given. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that, you know what, I'm not saying it's that complicated, but I'm saying I think there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, of course. And it could be. You're right. It could be.
She said nope. She said that's a simple one of these. I'm never mad at it. I'm never mad at it. Okay, so obviously, okay, so Chaz was probably the best conversation that you had in that instance as well. Okay, so who was a person? I'm guessing it might be Lamar, but who was a person that you felt for you was like this conversation? I need to dead it right now.
You couldn't really do that if that makes sense.
Fair play. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
You like I said, like even when I was having conversations with Lamar, it wasn't that. It was just, you know, we would just kept the conversation going. Even if I didn't agree, oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. But we were just continuing the conversation. It's just, you can't just be like, unless they're very offensive or whatever, and nobody was doing that. You have to keep the conversation going because every group has cameras. So you have to keep the conversations kind of going. Yeah, so it's not like you just kind of skip on by it. Like, oh, you like that? Oh,
if you could quit, aside Lamar, which I think you probably would have quit. Actually, I don't know. Let me not talk for you. Who would, if you could have quit and just said, listen, let's did it right here, who would it have been? Or who would it be?
Him.
Bees.
Yes, it would be him. He just wasn't particularly my cup of tea. But again, someone else is going to love him for that. And he thinks it's being transparent or not transparent, but just being like telling how it is and all that. Yeah. And I mean, if that's his opinion, then I mean, more power to him. I love it for him. I don't know. Someone's gonna, obviously, I feel like when people act a certain way, someone has responded positively to his actions. So that's why he continues to do that. Men are like, you know, positive reinforcement.
Without positive affirmations.
Okay, they respond to this. So someone's responding to that. So that's why.
I understand that. That's fair. That's real. Okay, so you know, your time on the show, obviously, they show us, and it could be something completely different, and it could be edited. I would love to know your thoughts. Where they're interviewing you, and you just kind of like, it's like you break down or you end up in tears. And I want to know what was going on, what happened at that point in time. You know, what was going through your mind. You know, I don't want to see you like that. So, you know, what was going on at the moment?
So it was a very long day. We were up since 7 a.m. Okay, I didn't get eliminated until 1 a.m. Correct. So, and then it was a lot of things. And also, men aside, when you are in that situation, it is a form of rejection. Regardless, I don't know these guys from a canopy. I don't care about them. When that happens, it's a form of rejection. So that already came, right? So now Simone's asking me, or it's a producer, she's asking me rapid fire questions. Boom, boom, boom. I'm answering, she's asking me. So of course you're going to get emotional about that. So that's what happened. Or
so for you, it was,
I can't say everybody, but whatever.
Yeah, no. So for you, it was not that it's rejection, but it's not necessarily that you cared, but it's still the fact that it's a rejection, and at the end of the day.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Like it was that portion of it, and then they're asking you after the fact, like, "Oh, you've done all this work on yourself, and you still got no." And I wasn't giving her that satisfaction. I wasn't giving her that because that's not what that was. Because clearly, if it was like they're just they have a job to do. Okay, they already knew that I'm an emotional person, so she knew to get that from me. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, so that's just it is what it is. They're there to do a job. This is their job. Then they move on to the next project.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I do hear that as well. Obviously, as well, then, you know, I think you had a little bit of a Twitter rant. Would love to know what that was. What was about. We saw some comments, at least. Maybe I can't call it a rant, but we saw your commentary on Twitter. I think it was about some of the situations on RTL. Would you care to share and let us know what was going on there?
It was basically everything that I'm telling you now. It was producers. Okay. They have an agenda. Everything that we've already went over. I probably would never talk to the men on a regular day. And I feel like that's my opinion. I know some of the guys were getting up in arms over that. But if they say they don't like a certain person, how can we be up in arms over it? That's just what you like, which is fine. And that's okay. So, but I said they were ugly or whatever they're doing, because again, someone is going to like them just the way that they look. Okay, so people may not think that I'm cute. I don't know. I know that I'm cute. Okay, because my mom's every day.
we know you are cute. I mean, I guess obviously, maybe from my perspective, I'm kind of looking at it and going, okay, so how would it read on us as men when, for instance, and maybe it might not, maybe it's crossed your mind, I don't know, but if you knew that you didn't like any of the men, how that would read to the other men? I know people think that men are, cavemen sometimes and very simplistic, but we read energy very well. This is how we play women, right? Because we read energy. So if, for instance, when you're saying about producers got involved and they helped, remove you from the show in a sense, but if you weren't feeling any of the men, could it be that you not feeling any of the men actually picked that up, and actually that also was, I'm not saying that, it's not to say that necessarily there wasn't anybody else they voted out more, because this happens every season. There are people who get more votes and don't get voted out, right? So we're not talking about that per se, right? That does happen. So I'm not going to dispute that. We've had that in previous seasons. Someone else should have gone home, but people voted for someone else, but because the show wanted to do what they wanted to do, they did that. Is it possible that you also feeling like you didn't really necessarily gel with any of the guys, you didn't like any of the guys, that they also picked that up, that you don't like any of the guys in that particular way? No matter how smiles you put on, no matter how beautiful presented you may be, no matter how pageant you may present your answers to make it sound, you know what, I'm cool, I'm good. They're gonna feel some type of way when they learn, when they start reading the energy that this person isn't really feeling me. Like if you're somebody who's in tune with yourself, you're going to know, hey, Patricia is not feeling me. You know what I mean? So I need to leave that alone. You know what I mean?
Right. But what you're asking isn't what it was, because I didn't give that off. So I know for a fact that I wasn't supposed to. So we'll just leave it there.
No,
And that would be that.
I won't ask you. I won't ask you to prove that,
because I never made. So I know how I was coming across, and I never made anybody feel like a certain way. The only person that had made whatever, but even that conversation, I just never made anybody feel a certain way. But again, if it was the case, then that's that. Then it's, to me, it's nothing because of the caliber. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, either way. But I'm just saying that that wasn't the case in this particular situation. Like, I want to say 95% of the time, producers have power, like, over all of that stuff. So I just think that I wasn't with what they was trying to do. And to me, that is okay, baby. Like, everything happens for a reason. I could say that I did the show. It was cool. I can say that I did it and be done. Like, would have I liked to go further just to do whatever? Yeah, cool. Yeah, because like they had like a sleepover and they did all this, fun stuff. Like, that would have been fun to do. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, it is what it is. I feel like.
So who was meant to go?
I don't know.
Interesting. Let me ask another question, because I think the audience will want me to ask this question. Whilst they are going to be understanding that, that they're understanding that, producers got involved, they may be asked, maybe I've seen it in the comments, where would accountability fall for you eventually? Because I'm not talking about just even being exited, because again, of course, producers get involved, and we've seen that last season. We saw it in Miami season 2. I saw it, that season 2, right? Janique had the same thing, right? But one thing I always tell the castmates, and I tell even the audience, is one thing about that show is they're very consistent, because they've planned you. Like you said, they've planned you. They know exactly what you are and what you're about. They know your personality type. They know exactly how you're going to react, and they know how to get that reaction out of you. And they know how it will plan out in some shape or form. So once again, I would ask in this instance, because it's been quite interesting having a dialogue with you. You are very self-aware. You've done some therapy as well, and you've articulated very well some great concepts, which we had some great conversation on. What's been really interesting, though, is when we got to this particular part of the conversation that, of course, you spoke about production. But when I mentioned that maybe how you're coming across, you didn't take that on board at all. In fact, you dismissed it to say it's the producers, and not deepen that maybe. And this is like just like the situation with the Toes and the Lamar conversation. There seems to be, and maybe I'm missing it, so you maybe help me see it a little bit better, right? But when we mention about how you're coming off, and I always say this, that the interview is a great place, because actually the interview gives us an opportunity to see you in natural form. I'm not going to lie to you. Part of that energy that we saw on the show that I'm talking about, I actually see it in the interview. You're not bad. It's not about you being a bad person or anything like that. It's the way that you're, and also the way that when things are being said, you kind of just, and I don't think you realize sometimes how that comes off to other people. So I don't know, maybe you can help me understand that. Maybe I'm seeing it wrongly. It's just that I'm seeing it that particular way. Maybe again, I'm in the error, but I'm looking at it from that perspective. Like, even when we mention about, sis, maybe the way that you're coming across to some of the men, you may not realize. I'm not saying that's why you got voted off, because we know that they vote that way, but maybe the way you're coming off, you don't realize that you're coming off in a particular way to certain men that they're like, maybe not for me.
Okay.
Maybe I may be wrong.
I don't know what to say. If that's what you think, then baby, maybe I gotta go back to the drawing board. I have no idea.
Okay. I hear you.
I can't tell you how to feel. So if you feel a certain way, I'm taking it. I mean, like,
no, it's not about just taking it. Because like I said, my job is always to try and highlight something just to show someone, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying, again, listen, you are beautiful, you are stunning, you're smart, you know what I mean? You're a person that is talented, you solve issues, you know what I mean? You get shit done, okay? Excuse my French, Lord forgive me, all right? Right? You get stuff done. I just wonder if maybe those that whilst you have those amazing traits, there's a part of you where you may miss some part of you, that how you may impact others. It won't be your intention. For instance, when you said about the toes thing, I don't think it was your intention to say anything rude or anything mad or anything bad to Jonathan. You were just telling him, no, this is how I don't like toes, right? But it was intriguing from my perspective to see how beautifully you put it and encapsulated it right here between me and you, and the way that we sit and the way you described it to how it actually came out on the show. And I wonder if there's sometimes there's opportunity to kind of see how maybe you may come across to certain people. Because it's interesting, you said at work that, and of course that's a black stereotype, so I know that sometimes white folk will definitely stereotype me no matter what. But remember you said that you can become across as very direct. I think that's also what came about on the show. It's direct in the way that you kind of delivered it. So it's like, rather than the beautiful way you landed it here, it was very direct a bit more on the show, and that may be coming across also too in terms of energy to other people. But again, you know, I'm just trying to.
I don't know what you saw. Like, unless we have a side by side of whatever that I can physically see, because again, from my perspective, I didn't come off like that. I literally said like, "Oh, you said toes too?" Ooh, and that's exactly what I said. In confessional, I was like, "Oh, I don't really like that. I think it's nasty." In confessional, I did not say it in front of a man.
Yeah.
So whatever you saw with my ooh, I don't know how that came off. I don't know how else I should have said that. Like, that's why I'm saying I'm not seeing the same things unless we're seeing like visual, whatever. And I'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, I did do that with my little head nod or whatever. Like, I could see, but I literally do not see that." But if you're seeing something else, like, I get it. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. That's your perception. I'm just receiving it, I guess. Like, I don't know.
No, I get you. It's interesting. You're pointing out the particular confessional. I'm not talking about the confessional. It was live and play when you were talking to him that I noticed that. It wasn't the confessional. Confessional, I'm not mentioning that.
Okay.
It was live and play. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe I don't know if you watched it with us at the time or whatever, but it was live and play. So it wasn't the confessional. It was live and play.
What came across to you? Like, what did I say that you were just like, oh, because like I feel like we're beating this into the ground, and because so I just want to know, like, what was it? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Because obviously it's something that, like, has stuck out to you and you are just, so I want to resolve it for you. Or, like, you know, I don't know.
Why do you want to resolve it for me?
Not to resolve it, but, like, I feel like you're pointing it out. So you're saying that I'm coming, like, basically I'm coming across a certain way that I'm not realizing to people. Right? In that instance of what I said. So you are pinpointing something that I'm saying in that instance about something that I disliked. So that's why I said, like, what is it? Like, what did I say that made you be like, basically you're just like, that's what you are like pinpointing. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think you kind of just did it. When you told me you want to resolve it for me, that's what comes across. It's an energy. It's the energy that just often comes through. So sometimes when we're trying to say something, for instance, like I said, going back to the toe situation, it is partly the tone and also the energy behind what's being said. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So again, I'm not saying that these men weren't off key or off board. I'm saying that maybe potentially how you said it. And again, it's the tone and the energy behind it, because you just did it. You just did it to me. You said, I'm trying to resolve it for you. I was like, wait, what am I? I'm not trying to resolve.
No,
I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Because, like, not
I get what you're saying.
Resolve was a wrong word, but I'm just, because
Yeah.
you are beating it to the ground, baby. I want to unpack it for you. Like, let's unpack, because I feel like that's what you want to do. You're trying to show me something that I'm not seeing, which I'm all for. That's why I'm asking you, which you didn't answer yet. What did I say, or what was a mannerism or whatever that was just like, I didn't like that energy? Like, what was it for you?
You just
What
did
was
it
that?
again. I actually answered the question. I said to you the tone. So I said again, the tone and the energy. So I actually answered it. That was, you dropped a little bar on me just a little second ago, girl. You dropped a little one. But the tone
Wait, what did
and
I
the
do?
energy behind it. You throw a little jab there. You said, you just a little one, you didn't answer the question. I actually did. I actually answered the question. I said to you that there was a tone and an energy behind the answer of the way you answered that question as to why that potentially it might have come across in a particular type of way. And I said at the very beginning, delivery. And oftentimes that comes through body language, that comes through the tone, that comes through the energy, that comes through the heart of the person. And even if the intention is not wrong, the impact can be because of the way that someone delivers a message, because of the way they feel about it. So that is what I'm saying to you, that it may not have landed. And the reason why I'm pointing it out is because it just happened then twice. Like, I want to resolve it for you. And then also now with the whole, there's a little jab. And I'm saying that you may not know. This actually might come... it may come through in the way that you deal with certain men. I'm just saying, like, it may come through. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that is a complete massive flaw. It's just something that may have come through a little bit as well. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So I'm just putting that out there. Do you know what I mean? I could be wrong. I'm just having that conversation with you, and we were kind of going back and forth and just kind of working it out, in that sense,
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, being on the show, it's an experience in terms of what you go through. Tell us something that you learned from being on the show.
Perception is not reality.
Okay. Fair point. Okay. Perception of reality. I like it. Okay. Was there anything you would do differently? Looking back, being on the show, is there anything you would do differently, you personally, that you thought of?
No. I showed up as my best self. There'd be nothing that I would do different.
Okay, beautiful. I love that. Okay. Any regrets going on the show?
No. I don't regret going on the show. It's just, the thing is that I didn't really like is how they presented the show to you.
Yeah.
The rigorous checks that they make you go through. So now it's almost like how like, say you were trying to surprise me and everybody around me is just going business as usual, but when I get there, you all knew and you guys lied to me, you guys did all this stuff to surprise me, right? Basically, that's what it felt like.
It's a con. I can't lie to you. I hear you.
Huh?
It's almost like a con. You get in there,
Correct.
It's completely different to
like,
what you was.
that's why that was like, where's Ashton Kutcher? Because we are being punked. Because like it just did not give, like, at all. They were literally, if you play this game right, if you're here for the right reasons, you are going to make it to the, and that's not the case, because you have non-communicators and all this other stuff. No, a person that you would never normally talk to, like, let's just say a generalization of an ideal man is not what is coming across our screens. Like, to me, I would want to see, because we see so much nonsense, I would want to see, like, real people, like, actually getting to know each other for real. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, we should be like, like, showing us, like, getting along, doing luxury things, like Black people, like they say that, oh, this ain't love is hip hop, this ain't this and this ain't that. But like, okay, so show a different side of Black people. Show us, like, doing the things that we're doing. Show us, like, at our career. Show us going traveling. Show us doing this. Showing us find love for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, real stuff, not whatever they're doing. But of course, that's not for TV. They don't. that's not gonna sell. So it's like, I don't know.
No, that's fair.
It just
I'm not gonna lie to you.
it just was presented in a way that wasn't real, and I took it very seriously, and it just was not that. It just wasn't that.
I understand. It brought shenanigans.
Which is
and
fine, but I wish they would have told us so I could act along with they.
accordingly.
Okay, I act accordingly, babe. Just tell me what I need to do. Okay, I'm gonna go right along with you. We gonna shenan again. Okay, that's what we gonna do.
I definitely hear that. Obviously, you know, it's been a few months since the show as well. And you don't have to answer this question. You know, are you open in the dating market at the moment? Are you accepting people, you know, to try and court you at this space, you know?
Yes, I am dating. Yes.
Fantastic. Loved it.
Somebody said, if
Gentlemen,
it's so
you know.
why were you crying? You missed it, babe.
Oh. You can answer it. Go for it.
Oh, I was emotional because we were there for 13 hours. Okay. And also, it's a form of rejection. Like, regardless, I don't know these guys from a can of paint, but if you do, you know, if this happens, it is a form of rejection. So, and then after that, production was asking me question after question after question after question after question on rapid fire. So yes, of course, somebody's going to get emotional if they're asking you all these questions on camera. Like, basically, you were just embarrassed. And I was not drinking. What you see me drinking with a strawberry is soda water. Because again, I was taking this seriously. There were other people that were drinking and carrying on, but I was not. Like, first of all, I don't carry. I'm a daughter of a Caribbean woman. You think I'm out here embarrassing people? Baby, come on. Maybe that's a trauma. We are not going to be embarrassed. We are not going to be embarrassing ourselves. But no, I just but yeah, it was, you know, your first time, like, on, you know, like, I have done videos before, like, for people, but it's different being in an environment like that. You know, it's emotions, anxiety, you're talking to people that you've never met before. There's so many factors that play into it. So it's like, so that's pretty much what it was. But in any case, people are always going to have an opinion. People are always going to say whatever they want to say, which is fine. You know, this is what it is. Like, and I'm okay with that. Again, these people don't know me. They are, you know, it's just people that, you know, whatever it is, which is fine too. It's for entertainment. You're entertained. We're acting. We're actors.
Well, listen, I understand. I'm not mad at it. I do understand what you're saying. For you, obviously, then, you know, the show obviously has come to an end in some sense. But you know, I know obviously you're in tech and everything. Is there any kind of projects that you're on? In fact, no. Before I go to that question, is there anything else you want to set straight? Anything else that's happened? Anything else happened on the show? Anything else happened outside the show? Is there anything you want to set straight? This is the time to set it straight.
Not really. I wasn't on the show long enough to set anything straight.
I get you. That's fair. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, listen. Yeah, go for it.
No, I said I was a quick in and out.
Listen, sometimes, you know, the real ones gotta go early. You know what I mean? It happens. Sometimes the real ones gotta leave early.
Hey,
it'd be like that.
I didn't say that.
So is there any projects, anything else, any projects or any particular, you know, things that you're doing at the moment that you'd love for us to get behind and get involved with? Let us know.
No, I'm not like I don't have anything going on to support. Sorry, not an actor. I don't have anything going on. I'm just a regular.
No. I just want to know, has any of the men reached out to you since you left the show and tried to holler?
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah. But now, it's kind of, I am not a person, I don't like the internet banter, especially because being in that environment, because you don't know, people are acting a certain way, or production's telling somebody to do something or say a particular thing or whatever. You can't really trust people in the moment either. So like, you don't know what's real or not, or were you just doing that or whatever. It's a lot going on at that point. But I just feel like they do a lot of banter. I don't want to say all the men, because that's not that. It's just particular, like, and I just don't like that. So I do not respond. And I don't believe any of the ladies speak, so we just leave it as it is. And we're all really close. That was like the best thing that probably have came out of this situation. I've got to know the ladies on like a deeper level, and I love that for us.
That's fair. Definitely hear that. Well, listen, Patricia, you have been an amazing sport, and we appreciate you jumping on here so soon and sharing your truth and your experience of the show. It's been good conversation. I loved our conversation about therapy and things that we've learned and understood as well. It's been a really good conversation in that respect as well. So thank you for that, and thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your story and your life as well. So but yes, audience, we appreciate you so much. I think she just dropped behind. Let me bring her back on. Sorry, I think you just go. Audience, thank you so much for joining us today. We kept it cute and classy in the chat. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys a little bit later on. I'll be back tomorrow. I know we've got to do Married at First Sight as well. So, we have to do some more content for you guys. But please, make sure you guys stay safe out there. Share, like, and subscribe to the channel. And also follow Patricia it's on Instagram. Is it Patricia Pretty as well on Instagram?
Yeah, it's on everything. It's the same.
Oh, I think she's frozen pretty. She's frozen pretty. But I believe her Instagram handle is Patricia Pretty as well. So, oh yes, you're back. I was just saying, is your Instagram handle Patricia Pretty?
Oh yeah, I was like, I didn't freeze. I'm right here. I don't know. Yeah, it's Patricia Pretty's on everything.
I love that. Oh, I would love to have you back on here though. Aside, relationships, maybe a lot about tech. I think a lot of people were really enjoying the conversation about tech. I think the way that you explained it and understood and maybe made people understand, I think it'd be good to have a conversation with yourself, even if it's half an hour, and just have a conversation about tech and your experience and maybe one or two things. It will be a very powerful conversation, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like we should definitely be wanting to get into this space because we belong here. I know a lot of the time, like, I've had imposter syndrome before and all of those things, but we shouldn't, because this goes back to like 1920s when there were women. It was black and white women, or not 1920s. Was it 20s, or it was 1960s, I think, where women, both black and white women were like programmers, but the first human computer was a black woman, and her name is Patricia Graves. Okay, I did a video on her like for LinkedIn like last year, but we definitely belong here. Like, we belong in this space. Like, when we get here, the other races are upset because we know that we have to be 2 times better than our counterparts. So yeah, we definitely belong here. So yeah, I would love to.
I appreciate it. No worries. I'll definitely message you and see. Let's get that going as well. So it'll be good to have you on the channel as well. So I appreciate that. Listen, audience, thank you so much for joining us. Please go home safe, even though you're at home. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of uploads. And again, Patricia, thank you so much. We appreciate you and that lovely smile that you have there. Keep it going as well. We wish you all